Fuck yeah. We out here. We're figuring shit out, chat. We're figuring shit out. What's up, Faithless?
We didn't think through all of our technical issues.
Yeah, so I'm the only one who can hear things right now. We're trying to figure out how to get double the headphones, double the joy. That's why we got Turney in chat. Actually, he can probably help us out here. So we need to get 2 headphones to be talking.
Why would you not have an audio interface? Oh, you have a headphone amp.
Yeah, I have a headphone amp.
But it's just like a 1-1.
Well, I don't have friends. It's like single player here, usually.
Yeah.
So we're figuring things out here.
I should have brought my interface. This is what we needed it for.
Well, you're the producer, to be fair. That is true. That is true.
I thought about doing it, and I'm like, nah. If somebody wants to make music while I'm on the road, I'm just gonna ask if they want to hit a studio nearby.
You know what? We have a gate on here. We can just make sure that we don't the speaker here doesn't hit.
Mute. You can just.
This is gonna be great.
Yeah.
Watch this. Watch this. Watch this. I'm doing some. We're doing some. This ghetto's fuck.
I could have just, dude. I can plug my headphones into there though.
Yeah, but then I don't hear. Okay, we have 2.
Then you don't?
Oh, wait, yeah. Plug your headphones in there. Actually, dude, try that.
I probably need to go on the other side of you though. This cable.
Oh yeah. So let's swap spots. Chad, this is technical difficulties. This is what happens.
At least you have somebody who's not a complete fucking idiot about
audio
stuff.
Well,
we didn't think this through.
Well, to be fair,
and we're gonna see it, and we're gonna find out if this works on the fly.
So you don't know this, Hayden. This has been an ongoing issue with me in chat.
Okay, let me hear something.
Headphone out. Headphone.
Oh no, you're right.
Well, but because my output, right?
Yeah, you needed a splitter, bro.
So we need a splitter. But what we can do is...
Or can you Yeah, that's what we're doing.
That's a solution. That's a solution.
That's what we're doing for sure.
Hell yeah. Well, this is awkward, Chad. But this is what we... This kind of like the vibe here. It's like I've been learning on the fly ever since day one. Fucking big dog over here is fucking not vibing with this. I feel him. Everything is being picked up on Yeti. Good.
Oh, good.
We can hear him.
What's up? Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. So at least we can hear him. Now, I don't even know why I'm wearing the headphones because we're not really going to use them.
Just for the prop.
It looks good.
You know that my DT770 Pro is the one side burned out.
Ew.
I think
you can get that fixed though.
It's just the driver's probably bad, yeah.
Just send it in.
I switched to I found these long time ago. I told my mom to buy some of these boys, and I found them dirty as fuck in the basement.
That's sick.
So I just picked them up. I'm like, I think these are mine now. I'm the one who told you to buy them shits in the first place.
That is true. Yeah, it was you and my brother, right?
These are enhanced headphones, dude. Like, they're not like a flat, So, some people don't think there's any flat EQs in headphones, that they're all very colored, but that one is the one that everybody thinks is flat, and these are more enhanced. But a lot of people produce on these, so I'm just doing it. I don't care. Okay.
770 Pro hype. Hell yeah. Let me just do some sound testing here.
It does need a new headband though. This headband is pretty fucked.
I'm gonna try to
I'm gonna maybe not try to not curse all the
time. I already cursed, so we're good.
I already got us demonetized in the beginning of the stream.
I don't care. Bro, I'm not making any money here.
I thought you were rolling in it, dude. Look at this. This place is beautiful. This isn't all this isn't all streaming money?
Turney and Faithless pay for this place. Actually.
Oh, hell yeah.
It's
Thanks,
yeah. Is it speaker out that I want to do? Yeah, speaker out.
Speaker out.
Fucking this boomer. So wait. Do I have 1 second? Let me just okay, somebody just texted me that they're gonna meet Jamie XX soon.
Oh.
Jamie XX.
Somebody else I should know.
Jamie XX fangirl.
Oh.
You know those peeps. Did I plug this in even? I did. How do we get aux on this fucker? Dude, these smart speakers are fucking dumb. Bluetooth thing. Did I hold this?
It's an input, right?
Well, there's no input on this. This is like an ambient speaker thingamajig. Dude, we'll figure this out.
What do you mean there's no input? It needs an input if it's gonna
switch? Well, which button would that be?
Well, I don't know. This is your speaker. I've never seen this before.
I just bought it. Oh wait,
wonderful.
Dude.
Do that. There you go. There you go.
I can honestly do that. I'm a fucking idiot.
Yeah, you got that.
Chat, this is like technical difficulties, deluxe.
He tried to he tried to wire it up to just do like a headphone cable to this Bluetooth speaker, but then he realized he can just make it Bluetooth.
Life is rough here. I've had a few drinks. Hayden's had a few drinks. Chat, you know this. When I've had a few drinks, life's a struggle. There we go.
There you go.
Fuck yeah. We got motion.
We're in business.
I like how it's named motion. You've ever heard it being called that you have motion or lack of motion? I've been told I have lack of motion.
You're sedentary? Like that type of lack of motion?
No, I think it's a new way of calling me white. So, lack of motion.
Well,
like no rhythm.
You are European.
Yeah. So honestly, it's
only
not
second generation European. You're direct.
Yeah. So like honestly, it's a true description. Are we not getting, dude? Are we not getting any of this?
Ask how many Crips Sonny has slept.
Wait. Ask how many Crips Sonny has slept with. Only 2.
I'm looking like an American Sonny. What a wonderful compliment. That's so nice of you to say.
That's racist. that's racist. Wait, where's my outfit right now? Speakers, thank you.
Oh, I have Sonny stories. How long have I known you? 2009 I met you. 2009? Damn, that's long. So
wait,
you have a few.
Yeah. Ask him anything. He'll tell you.
AMA, bro.
AMA while I figure this out. This is the time.
As transparent as possible.
You can be like
without incriminating anyone.
You can be like, does Sonny have game? No. Like does does he have the clap? No. Cool. No.
No, recently he's been tested. To be fair.
Cert. No motion twin. Hell yeah. No, I got my testing results. I have nothing. See here. Okay, no, let's see here. We got sound. Perfect. We got sound. Okay.
How's the audio sound when you are you gonna?
You know what? Well, what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull up the YouTube video and just see what the audio is there, and then we're gonna just do this. We're just gonna figure out where my gate is on this shit because. Right now it has an omnidirectional, so we're gonna do it more directional towards us.
Okay.
Because you see that little bump there, so I think it's gonna be better right here.
Test.
Echo
there.
this.
All right.
And then we'll do this here, and we'll take off the spatial sound on this because you got the speaker up here. I feel like that's gonna be annoying to do it. We'll remove this knife here. I'll put it back here. Opening some snacks the other day and realized that this is a very dull knife.
Oh shit, what up, Curtis? What's good, dude?
Big Curtis, try go!
Embarrassing, like have you wait, hold on a second, let me go up here, sorry.
We never walked the work
Sonny
together.
smarts fell like roses sometimes. Your gate isn't on the Yeti. Embarrassing, like have you walked in or bringing him into a waiter's area?
We've never worked together.
We never worked together. We both worked in the restaurant business, never together.
Yeah.
He was more so back in the day. He worked more in like corporate restaurants, and I was more like fine dining. So
now it's like, now you're like been out of the restaurant.
No, I haven't worked in restaurants for a minute. Yeah.
Then I'm bringing it as pick up. You could have some type of foreign Swedish disease. That is true. That's honestly, that's very true.
Like something exotic.
I wish I had something exotic. Perfect.
On your lap.
Here we go. Let's see if the speaker picks up this right now. Let's look at OBS.
Dale way.
Speaker is picking it up. So, the microphone. So what we're gonna do is
Adjust the gate, or you can mute manually.
yeah, so we go to gate, bam. We go to properties. Actually, no, we go to wrap filters, noise gate, and then we got the threshold.
We can speak. I mean, we're pretty close to the mic. You can put it relatively high.
Yeah, so let's do it like an 80. Is that aggressive?
No, high is gonna be closer to 0, dude.
Oh, true.
Something like this. Riot.
For the open and then close 42.
Hold on a second. Open. Out. Put that lower too. Put your speaker.
Let's cancel this.
That first. Try to be somewhat silent.
Austin Carlile. At least that's a story if you
It's perfect. It's perfect. Perfect. It's not bleeding for. Oh, watch this.
Oh, I was looking at the wrong bar.
Yeah.
My bad.
Look at the Yeti. Don't look at the desktop.
P is the closer.
Perfect.
Poisons.
Perfect. Very nice.
Hold on. How long did it take us? Only 18.
That's mostly my fault.
All right, let's fucking get into this. So, do we want to intro this?
Okay, so for anybody who wants to know, my name is Sonny Crockett. This is my friend Hayden. I love Bilmuri. I love Bilmuri too.
They're pretty sick.
I think
I'm getting turned.
I think chat loves Bill. Pretty. Either way, Bill Murray rules. I realized that I've been making fun of Bill Murray, but Hayden here knows a little thing or two about attack.
I've seen them, and I was very much watching, kind of like.
So we figured we're gonna watch a documentary about the rise of and fall of attack, and we're gonna figure out. I really hate attack. I was just thinking on a bunch of talented. Your gate is too high. Threshold getting cut out. We can't hear you. You can't hear me.
Oh no! It's coming up.
Wait. Let me see if I accident.
That was same. Test. Here comes another 20 minutes. I don't think.
Jeez.
It's far too much of a rabbit hole for us to cover
Now it goes through.
here. Austin would quickly be replaced by Nick Barham.
Ooh. Get the mic closer. Yo, what's up, Casual? You don't need a gate. Talk more in a row. Lower gate slightly. You don't need a gate. I feel like we need a gate though. Let's do a 30. 32.
Try something like that.
Yeah.
It'll be way more profesh if it's not bleeding through.
Yeah.
But we don't want to mute ourselves, obviously.
We're also experimenting here. Honestly,
you guys are learning with us.
the chat has been learning so much with me. Chat has been learning way too much with me. Chat has been teaching me. So it's open. We want to lower.
Ernie said there's no background noise. We haven't played anything from the stream and from the doc in a minute.
Well,
who is an at the time member of For All We Know, a band forgotten in time, but is an interesting one to look at just by the.
So, what I'm thinking is, we'll get this down to like. Try that. Hello, hello. Am I clipping? Am I clipping? Am I clipping?
No.
Fact that not only did they contain a future member of Attack,
But
but
Boys, am I clipping? Am I clipping? Am I clipping? You're gonna be closer to the mic right now. Let's see here. Seems okay now. Seems okay now. What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up?
Hell yeah.
Sibilance. She likes to ride in a Rari. Sibilance. The audio is fine for background, and also you haven't cut down.
Okay, it sounds like we're good to go. If that's the case.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Thanks, Curtis.
Thank you, Curtis. Thank you, boys. Okay, now. Look at that! Look at that! Look at that! Look at that! Let me just click down. I've been looking at cottonseed oil.
What for?
TMC. I don't know. Cottonseed oil. Did you know that's like? Did you know that that's a really good pesticide, bro? Sick ass
Oh,
pesticide.
I do know about this as a pesticide.
I've been thinking about spraying my mango trees. I don't know how I got here. I
used to be a bit of a Colorado botanist myself.
Well, I came there from rapeseed oil, with canola oil, and then I looked at it.
These are all seed oils, dude. You're
Yeah.
gonna trigger Curtis.
Well, then I was just like, dude, look at the fatty acids in cottonseed. That's like fucking all the fatty acid. That's like the most. That's the most fucking hardcore of all the seed oils. So like, I was just like, let's get into cottonseed oil, especially the hydrogenated form. So we got into that, and then I realized, like, you know what? I'm a little bit of a botanist now, and you know, like I should use this on my mango trees because you can use it for pesticide.
No, it's a good idea. It is a good idea.
Yeah. So anyway, we're gonna watch some attack now, and that's the intro for the stream. Curtis.
It was only another 4 minutes, guys. Don't panic.
Well, honestly, we do need a drink.
now here comes the other 16. I'm not drinking whiskey, dude. Yep. That's a way better idea.
Warsteiner.
Warsteiner. Oh, very good.
I get your glass too.
Warsteiner Pilsner. Oh,
she wants to ride in a Rari. So, I'm gonna have
engine grease fish and chips. Hayden, how bad does he smell? Eric smells pleasant. Sorry. Ah! Sonny smells pleasant, guys.
Sonny does smell pleasant. Hey, what's up, Casual? Long time no see. How are you doing? Sonny gets all the cool drinks. Got whiskey.
So back in the day, when we first were hanging out in the land of Jersey, I was more into the microbrews, and he was just like, "Dude, European beer, Pilsner, you could chill on them, much better." So it's actually, I'm glad to be drinking this beer of all things.
Keep me real. Air.
Cheers. Alright.
Such a dumb idea to drink. But anyway.
Vamos, dale.
Let's learn about attack. All I know about these guys is Crabcore. So let's learn. And by the way, for anybody who's wondering, who are we watching? Because I want to plug this guy.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Please go leave if you like this documentary and like the documentaries like that. Watch this guy's channel. Like, it's sick. Great ads.
Yeah, and I've seen some of his other stuff too. It's legit.
I haven't seen this yet, so I'm excited. Let's, you know what? Let's get this.
Yep, good,
nice.
good.
That.
Love it.
No, we want lay drunk Hayden. Dude, we're gonna. Hayden's actually gonna.
Did you know that people were lining up at 2 a.m. this morning to see you?
This is all very
ill-advised.
Oh, but yeah.
I just want to give everyone a little insight as to what it looked like when I drove up here. The line is around the building and down at least 3 blocks. I have never seen Ace of Spades this packed, so I am extremely excited for tonight.
They were so crazy hype.
All I remember when they came on the scene, I was a huge metalhead at the time, was just these young kids.
I just want to thank you guys
Bro.
for being such an awesome
Bilmuri.
part of my life and being part of a moment of my life that I'll definitely remember forever.
Something of a theme for this channel is covering artists who not only had an interesting rise to fame and fall from grace, but also artists whose legacies changed the world of music forever. Some have been more small-time figures whose effects and story are really only seen in their small niche, such as Chiodos,
Craig Owens
while
of Chiodos.
others have been genre-defining names whose impact changed the entire landscape of the industry, such
It
the
was-
likes
it is
of
indeed
Limp
Limp Bizkit.
Bizkit or
Westmoreland.
Japan's Malice Miser. And
What's
today
Hayden's
we're
connection to this
once
band? He's
again
seen
going to
them live
talk about a
twice.
band who more or less
What?
changed the world.
Are we gonna
No
be-
matter how
yeah.
funny it
3,
might
2,
be
1.
to say that about.
Do I have
And that
pause
band
privileges?
is
Dude, you have all the privileges.
Can
You
I
fucking
just
run it.
can I just spacebar it?
Spacebar.
Okay. So what is my connection to this band? I was into like this type of like post-hardcore slash like metalcore stuff at the time. It was really, really big where I grew up, and also close, which is not very far from where I met Sonny. So they're from Ohio. I'm from Pennsylvania. There's a lot of similarities. I went to school with some kids that formed a band like this and got at least big enough to open for like A Day to Remember, and when they were on tour for their second album. So I've seen these guys twice. So that is my connection.
Hell yeah. Farmtown metal, I feel like.
Yeah, hell yeah. Whenever it's on you.
I feel
None
like
other than
And my
Attack
connection
Attack.
to this is I used to shit on them. And when me and Hayden met, I was shitting a lot on American metal.
Oh yeah, he's very like Swedish supremacist metal. Not even Swedish, just like
It needs to be Nordic metal.
yeah, it needs to be Nordic. Exactly.
If it's not Nordic metal, it's not metal.
Exactly.
God, I remember this video coming on, and I'm just like, what the fuck are they? What's that? Is that
Yeah,
a synth?
I know. It's a bit hilarious to think that these babyface scene kids were responsible for not only defining an entirely new era of music in the late 2000s, but also had a domino effect that shattered and rebirthed the entire Warped Tour scene and greater metalcore scene across the world. With their
So Warped Tour 2009 in Camden, New Jersey is the first place that I saw them.
They
So-
played in Camden?
Well, that's where it was. It's at PNC, which is Philly, but it's Camden.
Dude, that's such a bad idea.
Well, I took the train from North Jersey.
These kids were not built for Camden.
No, it can be bad, but it's a huge. It took over the.
Like,
thing,
for anybody
so.
who doesn't know, at the time, Camden is known as murder capital of the United States, and they put a bunch of scene kids at a festival there, not thinking that they're not going to be used as fucking, well, at best case scenario, pocket pussies. Worst case scenario, target ranges. Like, right?
Curtis, Curtis is in the chat calling me an Eagles fan. You can't slander me like this, dude. I will stay in town just to get an injunction on you, dude.
influence even still being heard today.
Fighting
It's
words.
honestly pretty hard to imagine the world of music and what it would be like without Attack Attack. And despite how ultimately short-lived their tenure as a
yeah,
band
right.
was,
It's okay to be a
especially with how
Try
turbulent
not to talk over him. Talking over the music's one thing, but dude, there's nothing wrong with being a Swedish supremacist, right? That's where you're from. I'm an American supremacist.
Dude, I'm rooting for America.
I mean, my dad's not even from this country, and I'm an American supremacist. So, you're not going back to your old country. So,
I believe in in my garden.
all right, this is a long fucking
the
doc.
entire ride
Yeah, that's
was,
good.
the number of trends and staples that could be traced back to their debut Someday Came Suddenly is staggering. And that's without even mentioning or taking into account the numerous projects that the band's former members have started and went on to produce their own unique legacies and innovations to the genres that they stepped into. A true powerhouse of musical innovation and industry staying power, all from a ragtag
Look
group
at this
of Ohio
fucking
teams.
picture, man.
Dude. What was it with the colors of that time? Like, you know, remember, like, it was just all like.
And if you guys aren't keeping, if you're not keeping up, Bilmuri is on the right in the yellow shirt.
Yeah.
He has dreads during a lot of this.
I know. It's so bad.
Who looked like this. Yeah, it's wild, but hey, what did you expect? If telling these stories over the past few years has taught me anything, it's that it's almost always the least likely groups who end up sitting at the top of the mountain. So let's not beat around the bush or waste any more time, and let's jump into the infamous rise and fall of Attack Attack.
Now we're officially into it. You're just an athlete. You're just a professional fucking athlete. That's really all metal. That's really all metal drummers, particularly metalcore drummers.
Thanks, Silver. Casual beaters? What's happening?
This is well, because I recognize the bassist, so I know it's them, but I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to think what period this is from. This isn't early. This isn't particularly early then. Okay, here we go.
We're just a group of friends, and like, I don't know, it kind of like formed as like, you know, one member wouldn't be good enough, so we'd kick him out and then get one of our friends to join, and then like another member of the band wouldn't be good enough, we'd kick him out and get another member to join, you know. And so after, like, it's kind of like purifying gold. You know, you gotta like get all this stuff out, but now I feel like we have like.
What's funny is Caleb. I was gonna say
The band.
Caleb got pretty.
Is that Caleb?
Yes, so he was we'll get into this more, but he was the synth guy and eventually the vocalist, and he got heavily bullied for being overweight.
Dude, I can.
I feel like we have like.
He's a synth guy. I'm sorry. Like,
dude, a synth
The band
guy
got its start the same
though?
way most warped bands did back in the day, with a bunch of high school friends deciding it was time to play shows and chase their dreams of being emo fringe-laden rock stars. The band's original name in 2006 was Ambience and would consist of Andrew Wetzel, Nick White, Johnny Franck, Andrew Whiting, and a young, dumb, and full of cum Austin Carlile. At least that's the story if you go off of Wikipedia. I actually had the privilege of speaking to original bassist Nick White, and from my conversations with him, the band's origins are far more convoluted than I could have ever guessed. Attack Attack, or Ambience as they originally went by, was a bit of a 614 Ohio supergroup that during their formative years went through so many lineup changes that it would make your head spin, and many of its members would either be local heroes at the time or people that would go on to be in much bigger bands that you've definitely heard of. The actual founders of the band here would be Nick White and Andrew Whiting, who were old middle school friends. Pre-Ambience, Whiting had already picked up some local buzz around his name by being the bassist of a Ohio local band called Intrigue, a group that would also contain guitarist Kyle Barrington.
These are all. I was just gonna say this is all very like small time stuff, and it's not. Yeah, it's not totally dissimilar to the kids whose band I went to school with called I Am King, who opened for A Day to Remember. They were a lot. Attack though kind of were like more serious. They, like he said, they went through a lot of lineup. They went through a whirlwind of lineup changes, kind of until they found a good core group, right?
Dude, speaking of these hairdos, by the way, like I want to show you something real quick before you. Maybe we can show the student that like, but have it somewhere. I found my old passport.
Ooh, I would love to see this. Wow.
Speaking of great hairdos.
Wow.
Speaking of great hairdos. Speaking of these hairdos.
Oh, I love it, man.
Wait, how would I show this without showing anything bad?
Do you have sticky notes?
Well, what we do is,
Yeah, that'll work.
and then
You guys are gonna love this.
yeah,
This is wonderful.
speaking of me making fun of these fuckers, so this is my old passport picture. It's my old Swedish passport. This does not work anymore. Give Sonny a mullet. No, can't do that.
You're such a beautiful girl, dude. You'd. I mean, you're mostly there, man. You got long, luscious hair. Look at you,
dude. That hair is straight.
Fucking gorgeous.
Dude, that hair is straightened. That's some straight. That's the worst part.
Oh, I can tell.
You can tell that it's straightened.
I can tell.
Dude, I was straight out of the hairdressers that day. I went to get my passport picture taken. And also, do you see how hard I am?
To be honest, though, I do think that a mullet is kind of like where you're going with this whole thing.
Oh, you want a mullet? Wait, there's more. Karate Sonny has a mullet.
Okay.
Wait. But wait, Karate Sonny had a mullet.
Oh, beautiful.
No. What's beautiful is, can you tell that this picture's been cut in half?
Yep.
My girlfriend, my ex-girlfriend.
Yeah, that's exactly the vibe that it has. Wait, that's exactly the vibe that has.
By the way, girl, if you see this, I'm sorry for cutting you out there. I was really sad. You really tore my heart up like 20 years ago. Anyway, let's watch this. Also, look at this suave fucker.
Nice. That's a little bit closer to like when I met you.
No, I'm 15.
It wasn't that long after that.
I'm 15 in that picture. Anyway.
Wanted to be a member of the Crimson Armada, a Christian until not so Christian deathcore band that also saw some great heights back in the late 2000s. And as you'll see, this isn't the first time they're going to pop up in this story. Andrew would opt to start a new band with his friend Nick, as he wanted to be a guitarist rather than a bassist. And from here, these two would be the original incarnation of Attack Attack, with Nick and Andrew taking on the guitarist positions and going through a couple of drummers they were friends with before eventually recruiting Andrew Wetzel. Not long after, Nick White would move over to bass pretty early on to make way for a guitarist named Ricky, who is also friends with one of their previous drummers, though he would only serve as a guitarist for a brief time before being replaced with Johnny Franck, who was another friend of the previous drummer Dustin. Johnny would take up guitars and clean vocals, as well as pretty quickly assume leadership in the band, while Nick and Andrew served as the band's main songwriters around this time.
Yeah, remember they said that he was one of the original. There was 5 founding members, and that him and their bassist, I forget his name, the darker complected Asian dude bassist. Can't remember his name right now. He was in there too.
Dude, so. I liked he has the most iconic style with like the basketball jerseys.
Yeah. And shit. Oh, dude, this was a whole aesthetic and everything, as you guys can tell. Like, we've hit on the hairdos, but like it's the drip, it's the fashions as well.
Should I start getting my hair like that? Should I become an Asian?
Well, dude, bassist? We already know that Dark Thoughts by Lil Tecca is the song of the summer. And so all of this stuff is coming right now. It's like 0203, so like 0506 is coming right around the corner.
There's a lot of songs of the summer right now, and I feel scared to sing any of them.
I wouldn't sing any of them personally. No.
But what was I saying?
Even Dark Thoughts by Lil Tecca, my bitch. So like, nope, right there.
Last summer was a gabagool summer. This is just a very confused summer. Anyway.
Whiting would also recruit Austin Carlile, who is playing in a hardcore band named Call It Even. And with this lineup, the real start of Attack Attack would begin to fold together. And due to a dream that Nick White had about their Pure Volume page being titled Attack Attack for some reason, they would end up changing their name. And what a difference did that make? Look, ambience isn't a bad name, but it just sounds like something you would hear from some dog ship group of gent players that never make it out of the
Oh, they're playing gent with one of those things.
And while in hindsight, the name Attack Attack does sound pretty silly,
Those
it
things
was
are
a style
fucking
for the
insane.
time, and in that style, it really did shine. I mean, this is an era that was defined by the 3-word call to action or phrase band names.
Well, this is we have to. We're getting through this too slowly, but this is worth hitting on here.
Sleeping with Sirens, bad, shitty.
Though, you know what's really sad? Between all of like the metalcore, post-hardcore type shows that I went to in this period, I've probably seen the majority of these bands.
So
I've certainly listened to the majority.
I'm gonna say the ones I've at least shat on at some point, or
do it. Yeah.
Shat on Sleeping with Sirens. Pierce the Veil, definitely shat on them. A Day to Remember. Oh, of course I shat on them.
For sure shat on.
Of course. Bring Me the Horizon. I think I've actually gave them props.
Oh, really? Well, their first album was crazy heavy, and then they went
I
poppy.
think-
There is a Bring Me the Horizon documentary on this channel as well.
I remember a little bit of positivity, but also me shitting on them.
Yeah.
Then Asking Alexandria, shat on them. Of Mice and Men, didn't one of the members of Attack Attack end up in Of Mice and Men?
You are foreshadowing what's coming up, sir.
Well, look at me. I know shit. I know a little bit of this. Motions of White, no clue. Suicide Silence, I think I actually like them.
They're like crazy, like heavy deathcore.
Yeah, I think I like them.
Yeah, like Drop A, just like pure. Me and Curtis had a roommate that only listened to bands that sound like Suicide Silence.
Okay.
Possibly some of the worst music taste of anybody I've ever met. Fuck you, Andy.
By the way, Falling in Reverse, didn't they have a chick in there?
I don't know about Falling in Reverse.
Okay, maybe not. It was like
Parkway Drive. Did you shit on them? That fucking Aussies, mate, from fucking the Gold Coast.
Well, I'm not handing them a VB. I'll tell you that.
Give me a fucking VB, mate.
VB. And what else is there like that we recognize?
303.
Escape
Memphis Mayfire.
Ew!
What?
Memphis Mayfire? I haven't heard that in forever.
Escape the Fate.
My
Mayday
Chemical
Parade.
Romance.
Bless the Fall. Panic at the Disco was pretty.
Mayday
huge.
Parade. Dude,
Panic at the Disco and My Chemical Romance.
Was it the same?
As well.
Was it the same thing at your high school? Like, where it's just like open season on like girls wearing those shirts because just like.
What do you mean open season?
I mean, just like if you're wearing a Mayday Parade shirt, you're vulnerable as fuck.
I don't know. I went to high school with Curtis. I don't remember anybody wearing Mayday Parade shirts.
Oh, maybe Curtis was the one wearing the Mayday Parade shirt. Maybe he was the one.
He had some sketchy shirts back in the day. I can confirm.
I don't know.
Paramore. There's like poppy bands on this though.
When a lot of these bands popped off, like I was a senior in high school, so like.
I See Stars is another big one.
These was like what the young kids were watching, listening to. Meanwhile, I'm just like, what about Children of Bodom?
Yeah, it's just like more Swedish death metal.
Enter Shikari. I should have liked them.
Fall Out Boy, Yellow Card. There's a bunch. That black section is a bunch of fucking really poppy bands.
But Enter Shikari, on paper, there is a lot of things that I should have liked with them. I think.
All right.
They did a lot of proggy shit.
Vamos, unless you got anything else.
Yeah.
Where you would just insert the in the middle of two words, like pierce the veil, design the skyline, escape the fate. You get it. And Attack Attack just stuck out as a far more snappy, memorable, and most importantly, marketable name. The band would enter the studio not long after formation to produce their first and only independent EP. If guns are outlawed,
I was a
can we use
Bodum guy on
swords?
record. That's actually true.
This may be some rough production and have kind of a goofy artwork to it, but if you're a fan of early Attack Attack, I highly recommend listening to it to hear the handful of original songs off of it, and even the early and lesser renditions of tracks that would go on to appear on their debut. It's impressive to see just how much of the core sound was already here, long before Joey Sturgis would lay his hands on the band, showing that the impressive songwriting and tasteful elements were here from the start. The title track is a great example of this as well.
The harmonies here.
This was okay. So I've listened to this EP. This is
Look,
like
I
a lot,
know it sounds
was a lot
primitive by
rougher.
today's
I like
standards,
that.
but
Yeah.
for the time, it
those
was
guitars are
extremely
nice.
forward-thinking,
No, it wasn't bad
streamlining
at
many
all.
of the more obtuse portions of the at-the-time
like-
staple sound
if
of
you like
metalcore,
Sunday Game suddenly.
and cutting a lot of the fat that would alienate many listeners who weren't accustomed to that sound. Another great track off this thing is Healthy Normal, where the band would show off a more
we're just
traditional
making
post-hardcore
lighthearted
sound, and
banter.
honestly, it makes me a
I
bit sad
know.
that they never produced any more material in this style because it's pretty damn good.
Where's the dark?
Dude, this is very post-hardcore.
Like I said, it's got its mojo and it's pretty forward-thinking for the time.
We're watching.
Now, the last song I really want to talk about off this EP
Screamo?
is
Yeah, you can. It's
Closer,
not incorrect.
Poison Sumac Body
It's
Wrap.
it's like
Subtraction.
I will say that like calling this like umbrella term of screamo is like calling everything techno, but it's cool. It's
I mean, I guess
we're just at the end of the day we're just getting into the nuance of it.
I mean, I get it.
Although I wouldn't call Swedish death metal. I wouldn't call Children of Bodom or
well, no, this is more screamo than Children of Bodom.
yeah.
Even though it's but it's the same shit with the raccoon girls. Let's
It
face
takes
it.
a much more traditional
It's the same people that
sound
would
as
listen to
well, but
Screamos, they're gonna
it
be-
aims
like,
it in
this
the
is-
melodic
This
direction.
is the same kids that listen to Screamo and then just like, we want to go a little bit harder. We're a little bit harder than that.
And shows some great guitar playing and use of
metal kids that
atmosphere.
want to get laid.
Again, it's very forward thinking for its time, and I hate to sound like a broken record, but shows much more maturity than most bands that were of this age had,
So they were, like,
especially this
16,
early
right?
on in
They're
their
in high school,
career.
yeah.
And the same could be said about the majority of the EP. I mean, in all honesty, when I came to revisit this thing for this video, I was expecting to just not like it, or at least be extremely underwhelmed considering how old it was, and, well, Crabcore hasn't aged the best in its entirety. It's definitely rough and a bit juvenile, but it still radiates with a lot of the creativity and charm that seems to be absent in most metalcore bands today, and especially during the Crabcore wave.
I'll tell you
If
one
guns are
thing.
outlawed,
I don't
killing
know
use
shit about
swords would
metalcore
bring
today.
a lot of new attention and notoriety to the band.
Do I know what's the most recent shit is like me listening to Trivium's new releases, but that's not even metal.
Wouldn't call that metalcore. That's Trivium is more like proper Scandinavian death metal.
No, Trivium sounds like more like Metallica than Metallica sounds like Metallica now.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because
I haven't listened to a lot of I've seen Trivium live. I haven't listened to a lot of their new stuff though.
Well, like he fucked up his voice, right?
I think
After
so.
2 albums, so he had to
Yeah.
start changing his style, and then like they went really like Crusade was very good. And then they went more back to the roots, but still with the different vocals. I like it. It's just fucking rock and roll, baby.
Yeah.
Being a fan, you start breaking it down into subcategories. I get it. Exactly. I know Alex the Terrible is top tier. Wait, who's Alex the Terrible?
I'm not familiar. I will say
But
that I will say though that it took a while for me to like turn you on to this kind of stuff in a weird way, but not really. Like his like subsequent project or whatever. But I then saw particularly In Flames live, and I was like, this is one of the best live shows I've ever seen.
They're so fucking.
And I was not, and I don't love that like style of, but like you see it live, and I saw Above and Beyond with Curtis live, and he was like, I get it now.
Yeah. No. Certain bands like I've seen In Flames like 4 or 5 times.
Dude,
It's like,
insane.
like
Success would be ultimately short-lived, as Nick White would exit the group pretty abruptly. As we discussed, Nick was one of the founding members and driving forces behind Attack Attack, even being the one who ultimately chose that name. But due to just
No, not at all.
By the way, Nick Vic Lee stream. You guys see what drama I've been following today. The ones that know what I've been watching. Hope Amaranth is okay, and yeah. Let's see here.
That's as good as speaking Swedish to me. I actually understand. I actually hung around you and your family enough to understand a little bit of Swedish with some context.
Alex the Terrible.
Alex the Giant Rabbit. Is that like that's like a big animal?
No, this guy.
That's like Calla the Orange Cat.
Slaughter to Prevail, bro.
Slaughter to Prevail. Russian deathcore band. Okay, interesting. But this is okay, deathcore. This is probably like
this would be like the
heavier on the side of like Suicide Silence like type sound. Am I wrong? Who mentioned them?
I think it was who mentioned it. I think it was Snurt, right?
Trying to find it.
Alex the Terrible's top tier.
Okay.
And then the attorney. No, I know who this is. We like.
Okay, I'm glad somebody knows like some of like the big artists nowadays because I really don't.
Just about all the other members being high schoolers outside of Austin.
It meant skipping Amaranth drama forever, never ending Amaranth drama. Yeah, that's why we're not going to talk about it.
School to play shows.
Full thing. Amaranth is a streamer that is known for.
Yeah.
And her husband and her had over 10-hour fight on live stream.
Oh, that's good. That's healthy.
And it ended with him like he's stay-at-home husband, and he just waltzed her in in his pajamas, smoking cigars, just living the dream, and accusing her for giving hand jobs to black people in parking lots.
Don't mess around with influencers, guys. Don't ever do that.
Honestly,
it's such a bad idea.
You'll like this part: 7 dogs and a bunch of birds. In the house, and like he's like, and they're fighting about whose idea was to get all the animals.
Not great.
Yeah, for 10 hours. Yeah, I don't know. That's what
shenanigans of drinking and getting in trouble and teen romance and basically everything else that can cause a rift between you and your family during that age. Especially so in the case of Attack, as they were putting everything they could into this band, tirelessly putting effort and work into writing, aesthetics, performance, and getting it all going as quick as possible. And with this came the decision to embrace Christian identity as a band. And while members such as Johnny Franck...
Hold on a second. Did you not know this? Well, you're not that familiar with their music, but...
Well, if I know...
It's not like obvious. It's not like super obvious. They don't like... I don't know. But like when you actually... If you actually like really listen to some of the lyrics or read them, it's pretty obvious. Anyway, Johnny Franck wrote all of he was the clean singer and the songwriter. He wrote all of the lyrics and sung the clean vocals and played guitar.
Frank and Wetzel did belong to the faith, and Austin sure loved to adopt his Joel Osteen-esque persona in order to push his beliefs into free marketing for the band. Nick and Andrew weren't exactly believers, at least not in the strict sense of wanting to identify their music with it.
So do people often accuse you all of being a Christian band? Because I read that happens.
Yeah, that usually does.
Listen to this.
And what's your reaction?
I don't know. I guess I could understand because like the lyrics in our last album were, obviously about God, because that's Johnny. When he wrote them, he was talking about God and stuff, so that's cool.
And with the embrace of more and more,
trying to be neutral, but also definitely bothered.
Look at his eyes right here.
Just look at just body language and like just how long he thought about it. He had to think about what he was gonna say.
Looking into nothingness and then looking down in fucking fuck.
Wrote him. He was talking about God and stuff, so that's cool.
And with the embrace of a more and more scene image and style and shifting priorities of the sound, it would all come to really alienate Nick White. And with the added strain of everything revolving around the band affecting his family and a bit of an incident with shoplifting, Nick White would find himself grounded on the day of a show. And instead of finding a way to make it all work, it was the kick in the nuts he needed to realize that his time with Attack was up. And he resolved to go his own way.
So somebody had to quit the band because they got grounded ahead of a show.
Sick.
All right, so if you're not aware, Someday Came Suddenly is their debut album. Anyway,
Made in this vitamin water thing, but Austin actually peed in it. So Caleb and John definitely just drank pee. And it's gross.
Van life, bro. Every once in a while, you got to drink your bro's piss.
Don't drink my vitamin water, bitch! Wait, is that really piss? Yes!
Usually the loss of a founding member would lead to pretty big problems and issues within a band. But in the case of Attack Attack, it would serve as a bit of a double-edged sword. The day after Nick White exited the band, a young prodigy by the name of Caleb Shomo would make his grand entrance. And while he wasn't initially trying out for a spot on keyboards, somehow that's what ended up happening. Taking the already auto-tuned laden post-hardcore sound of the band and bringing in a lot of electronic influence, mainly trance and pop sounds that were popular in the rave scene of that era. And this would all prove to be one of the most important ingredients to the band's success. And coupled with the auto-tune, it
Honestly,
gave...
you're more aware of the trance and rave thing that was going on at that time because it was big in Europe and it hadn't hit America yet.
Well, that's the fun thing is like I was secretly listening to some of that stuff. And you know me, I love electronic music now openly, but at the time I was just like, I like my genres separate. What do you mean mixing the genres? No.
Yeah.
I want my trance to be trance and my metal to be metal.
And by contrast, I appreciated some of this stuff. So it's one reason that I appreciated this band when they came out, and it's a reason that Between the Buried and Me is my favorite metal band.
Well, my big thing is like I was just trying to be cool. I was just trying to be cool here.
I was in it for the music. I was trying to be cool.
I was in it for the music, but just trying to be cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Attack Attack, their signature sound and edge that allowed them to cut through all their competition.
Is Attack Attack more trance than Lane 8? No, definitely less trance than Lane 8. I would say
Lane 8 would be.
This is a reference to a discussion that he called Lane 8 trance. I'm like, bro, Lane 8 isn't really like.
I would say Lane 8.
Yeah, what is like? Yeah, explain. Yeah, I want him to hear this from somebody who isn't me.
Lane 8 definitely learned a lot from Attack Attack, and would be nothing without Attack Attack laying the foundation for trance to when the future come. So I think thank you, Curtis, to really let me. I don't fucking know. Let's watch this.
Competition, especially with the use of their secret weapon, the microcorg.
What'd you use for this here recording?
Microcorg. To have a microcorg.
Like every other band.
So this is a whole other thing. The fucking microcorg was heavily used. Me and Curtis, I never got to see them. Curtis was ahead of me on Horse the Band.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
And he got to see Horse the Band live at the Unitarian Church in Philly.
Dude, this is what I'm saying, Turney. You need to become best friends.
Oh, we would be, but he had to start things off awkwardly.
Oh, by the way, where is it?
I saw he was way up there.
Yeah, the guy
he retracted a bunch of shit. What was he talking shit on me? Turney?
There you go. That's the person that was supposed to be you. But no, Turney. No. Turney's just making sure that the FBI can't find him.
That's what's up.
No. Horse the Band is my fave band. Fuck yeah!
So what I was gonna say was that the microcorg was the live performance synth of the time. Well, what was really big in these days.
The setup was like this. This is how you did the show back then. If you have a microcorg, you just have it flexed down so the audience can see how cool you are, and then you're like. I'm super gay.
And I would say this band, as well as Horse the Band, really perfected the art of heavy breakdowns while you're taking a break from playing a synth. Like it needs a certain aesthetic. But basically the big thing at the time was, hey, we're gonna this whole electronic thing is big in Europe, and over here we're still playing a lot of guitar bands, so we want to perform live, so microcorg.
Turney, did you ever straighten your hair?
You owned a microcorg? Congrats. One of these days when I make it big, I'm gonna get Curtis a microcorg as a gift randomly. He needs one.
I'm gonna get an OP1, just do a Swedish House Mafia.
That's the
all
most
day.
Swedish synth you could possibly buy.
I'm just gonna play one every day.
saw Swedish House Mafia live and their arena tour in 2022. It was legitimately one of the best shows I've ever been to.
Fuck you.
It was amazing.
That's lucky. Anyway,
vamos.
And X3. It's an Korg X3. And a Korg X3.
Around the same time, they would be offered a contract with Rise Records, mostly off the strength of their demo EP, If Guns Are Outlawed. They would record a few more demos, including an early version of the infamous Stick Stickly, but this would mostly just be the warm-ups the band needed before entering the studio to record their debut, opting to work with the, at the time, up-and-coming producer Joey Sturgis in Indiana.
This is day half.
That's not a bad. That's not a half bad looking studio. His actual control room. But if you look at like some of his recording rooms are super fucking haggard, right? Which you'll see.
Sturgis in Indiana.
This is day half. Yeah, we're arriving at Joey Sturgis' studio. We are currently doing meth and getting laid.
Who had also previously cut his teeth on producing quite a few of Ohio's alternative acts, including The Devil Wears Prada, Before Their Eyes, and At the Throne of Judgment. And this pairing would be incredibly influential, as Sturgis would obviously go on to be...
have you heard of At the Throne of Judgment? I watched the first time through. I watched this. I was like complete fucking blank. But obviously, I know Devil Wears. Well, if you know this band, you probably know The Devil Wears Prada.
Oh, I know Devil Wears Prada.
Yeah, they're another Ohio Christian.
Oh, they're Christian too?
Yeah.
Are they saying that Devil is...
You obviously never saw them live if you're questioning this.
Well, Devil Wears Prada was another unmetal band.
Yep.
I was not allowed Devils. We did not have Devil Wears Prada in my household.
I remember, yeah. They eventually came out, like after I graduated, they came out with a couple like songs that I thought were all right. But I remember, I'm pretty sure Curtis hated on Devil Wears Prada and some other kids we went to school with did.
Oh yeah.
One of the most prestigious and pivotal producers.
Invest in hair follicle coin that comes out of straightened hair follicles out of this video.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, for each straightened hair follicle, you get another like little I don't know. You get like a piece of a Bitcoin. Fun fact. Anyway, Joey Sturgis, fuck yeah.
Metalcore, like, for better and for worse. Not that his style is bad, it's just that after this, everybody recorded with Joey Sturgis, including the many bands who were ripping off.
You have this producer's plugins? All right, Turney, you're putting me on to some of these. Dude, we're talking about this later.
This is what I've been saying. Like, I've been telling both Hayden and Turney, I'm like, yo, guys.
I'm bringing a laptop. I'm bringing a MacBook Pro with me around the world just so I can occasionally make some bad attempts at making music.
So fun fact, in like less than 7 hours, I'm sending him on an airplane around the world. So we're gonna do the stream before.
Are you calling me bald, dude? Got him.
How did you know? Are you saying that you're willing to invest in the hair follicle crypto in case it will give you magical hair follicles?
He's just eyeing up his Turkish vacation.
Yeah, Curtis, like if you rub the wallet that you keep your hair follicle crypto in, it might actually go.
Even just saying Turkish Curtis is kind of fun if you do it 5 times fast. You know,
Curtis. Dude, that would be dude. All the straightened hair and like, dude, I haven't seen Curtis in over 10 years. Like, fuck it. Please don't fight.
I guess in a more nice way of saying it, inspired by Attack, like asking Alexandria and Icy Stars just to name 2 big ones.
Icy Stars was one that was
like at time with Alexandria and Icy.
Look at this. What the fuck?
This was Icy Stars, right? Wait, go back just like
Icy Stars.
Okay, so this was, I would say, a lesser version of like what Attack was doing, which was like mixing kind of metalcore with like EDM.
This is like this definitely does.
Although they did have like a couple cool songs. I remember Curtis
like
bumping them back in the day.
Like the problem with half of these guys looks like none of them have seen a trailer park in their life. Like the guy on the right, maybe.
There's a good chance several of them have.
Oh really?
Well, where we grew up, a lot of the smoke spots were the only places where like a parent would let us like chill and smoke was in a trailer.
Are these from PA?
Icy Stars is not. I don't.
I'm just saying.
Wait a second. I don't know. I actually.
This kid looks like he went to prep school. Look at him. He doesn't look like he ever gone hungry. I'm not saying like I've ever gone hungry. Like unless I forgot to shop.
They're from Michigan.
Michigan.
So Ohio,
okay.
Michigan, close enough.
So maybe some from Detroit.
They're just
maybe from Detroit.
Retards who fight about college football. OH!
Alright.
Go blue! Shut up!
Enough Bitcoin and ladies won't carry his vice. Honestly, good strike.
Star is just the name.
You know what? As you can tell, I have no Bitcoin, so I have to grow out my hair.
Big ones.
No coiners.
The band would spend their time with Sturgis reworking and recording many of the tracks off their demo, as well as writing some new ones, taking that older, more raw sound and polishing it up to be much more clean and crisp, as well as adding that signature trance synth and over-the-top auto-tune that would serve as their most prominent flavorings. The fruit of all this labor would be the band's debut, Someday Came Suddenly. And when it was released on November 11th, 2008, it changed the world of music forever.
So FYI, this goes in. This is like a span of this entire band, and this was the main thing that I listened to of them. So I'm gonna have the most reference for this Someday Came Suddenly period. This was when I saw them live 2 times, sort of. And you should, and this was the debut. So this was the first single from it, and kind of the song that popped off, and the notorious music video Stickly.
Well, when I read the description for this video, it said that you're an expert at everything Attack. That's what Grok told me when I fed in all the information in Grok. You tell me that you only know about this shit?
No. So no. I also was in it for. I'm basically most familiar with the Johnny Franck period. Spoiler alert.
By the way, fun fact, Curtis, you now have something in common with all the Canadians in chat. They also smoke in the reserves.
The rural Pennsylvanians
or reserves
and the Canadians aren't entirely dissimilar, unfortunately.
Dude, there's hey. Trailer Power Rangers assemble.
So, yeah. So anyway, this is kind of the period when they were like the most hype and kind of on their way up. It's still I don't even care.
I memed pretty hard on this song in my emo songs video, but honestly, there's no way.
I wrestled a bear once. Wait, did you tell me about them, or was I can't remember if you told me about them or if like the high school crew.
I'm not gonna take. I don't want to take fucking responsibility for that.
I just wanted to hear what his commentary was, because this was like the song that most people are gonna know from this band.
I memed pretty hard on this song in my emo songs video, but honestly, there's no way to really deny that this song had an everlasting and almost nuclear level of impact on the scene. It's more polished and clean take on the classic post-hardcore sound, with a heavier emphasis on screen vocals, as well as its chuggy breakdowns and the oh-so-famous techno interlude.
Dude, I know.
It was the defining blueprint of just
interlude.
about
Are you kidding
all
me?
Warped
That is what
metalcore
that
bands going forward.
practically makes the song. I don't even care.
It was the defining blueprint of just about all Warped Tour metalcore bands going forward for the years to come. And the album isn't just carried by its excellent intro either, as the second track, Bro Ashley's Here, is another fantastic song.
So there were some other good songs. I don't. This
And even if many of the tracks off this album perpetuate the trend of long and
any
nonsensical
clean vocals you hear from Attack is Johnny Franck. Get up, get up, get up, get up.
titles, many of them still hold up, and the names just add to the legacy aspect of the band. But as much as I enjoy this album, that's not to say it doesn't have its fair share of boring and by the numbers tracks like The People's Elbow.
Oh, this is all coming back to me now.
This is Land of the Massacre.
Yep. I'm guessing. I don't know if I never thought about if that's some type of biblical reference or not. Probably is. That's literally all this album is. This album, if you look at if you guys genius this album, it's all just Christian shit. Even though like you wouldn't necessarily think it just by listening to it.
And it's not even that it's a bad song as much as it just kind of feels like a by the numbers Devil Wears Prada song, but cutting a lot of the technicality that made them interesting. I mean, like I said, it's not that it's bad, it just doesn't hit the same high standard as the album's more standout tracks.
Faithless knows what's
Though
up.
overall the album still is a very solid and fun offering, and it holds up better than some of the other albums from this era. The record would also include many tracks like Kick and Wing Animal Doctor that show off their other big selling point.
Or at least had like the last say so. Oh yeah, it has like a talking.
Now you have taught me how to live by grace, and I will do this until my dying day. How could I ever fall away from you? You taught me how to live like Christ, and how to show my face in the worst of times. All I can say is, thank you. Someday Came Suddenly's lyrics were chock full of moments like this, where Austin would speak on his Christian faith in a passionate
It's fun. So if you guys don't understand why he's having this reaction, a lot of his reference for metal, the Nordic death metal thing is the other way. It's especially black metal is often satanic. Like it just if you want to see a cool documentary, look up fucking Burzum.
Oh no, honestly the song names are the ones that are aging the best, I think, Curtis.
Seemingly sincere way,
it's like memecore
with
now.
even Stickly being host to
Like
these
I said,
as
this
well.
stuff's all coming back right now. The kids are on the ASICs, the ASICs runners, circa like early 2000s, just like after 9/11. And this 2000, this 05 to like 07, 08 period is right around the corner. You just wait.
Are you saying that I should spray paint the raccoons in my yard with pink?
Yeah.
Well, we live for what he's worth. And that's more than you'll know. He died for what he loved, and what he loved was you. These lyrics are a blatant call to Jesus and his crucifixion, sacrificing himself for all he was worth and dying for our sins because he loved us. And these blatantly Christian and uplifting lyrics would play a massive role in the band's success, as many of the up-and-coming bands of this era were Christian themselves, or at least trying their best to fake it. Names like Under Oath, As I Lay Dying, The Devil Wears
Prada. By the way, I have a friend who is an Under Oath groupie. I will not name her.
Sick.
She's pretty good though. Flight attendant. Anyway.
Prada and Norma Jean being some of the biggest in the scene at this point. All these elements would combine into a massively marketable and appealing record that would sell extremely well for a debut on an at the time small independent label. And despite the mixed to negative critical reception, Attack Attack would be received with warm and open arms to the greater metal and post-hardcore fan base, and with their added grift towards the Christian market, would be given an even bigger boost, as Someday Came Suddenly would spread to youth groups everywhere. But as high as the band was flying, it wouldn't be long until Turbulence would come knocking at their door, because as early as 2009, Austin Carlile would RAR XD Too Close to the Sun and get his ass thrown out of the band, originally stating it was due to personal differences and conflicts, but a larger statement would later be dropped by drummer Wetzel after Austin made claims that he would continue the band himself with new members. Boys and girls, we're here to address.
So we're now getting into some of the turbulence. If you guys don't know this world, Austin Carlile was the vocalist for of Mice and Men.
Okay.
And they were I don't know if he's mentioned it yet, but he is the vocalist that you hear on Someday Came Suddenly. And then somebody else replaced the screaming vocalist, and somebody replaced him then when they started touring for the album.
Yeah, this guy's definitely not a Christian. I feel like from the interviews, like I think some of them were Christians and some were not. I
want to know. Yeah, I'm curious. Like,
Bilmuri definitely was a Christian, trying.
Well,
his
yeah,
best. He's a good boy.
Oh yeah.
So.
A new rumor that Austin is back in AA. I would first like to point out that it would be the coldest day in hell for him to get back in our band.
This is such a crazy like early social media thing. Just but like guys, we have to address this on Facebook.
Well, like during this time, it's like all the bands are just like this guy's in AA, this guy's in AA. Then like a few years later, it's gonna be. This guy did not touch. We're taking steps back from this guy. He was interacting with fans in a bad way. We would just want to say that we all ID people that we hang out with.
It's funny that you mentioned that because that's what eventually
is that where he's gonna go?
It's what not him, but this is what. Well, he has accusations or whatever, but that specifically is what happened with the original bassist for A Day to Remember. A local band to hear from Ocala, if you didn't know.
Go figure.
We'll start with the history. Someday Came Suddenly. Re-recorded SCS with Joey Sturgis.
Why were they grifting or genuine Christians? Johnny Franck's a genuine Christian. Yeah, for sure.
In July of 2008, with Austin doing vocals. September 11th, 2008.
But sorry, one more thing on this. I don't know if the rest of I don't know who what I was saying with that is I don't know who was going along with it because you could see that interview earlier where the guy was clearly uncomfortable, and I don't know who's going along with it and who was just like that guy was and who was a genuine believer. All I know is clearly Johnny Franck was or is.
We left Ohio and Austin in the band to go on our first ever tour, the Rise Records tour. 3 weeks later, we left him in a dark parking lot in Salt Lake City, Utah, where he sat there and cried like a little girl while we drove away
he
from
lost
him.
a race, so I
Facts.
left him.
Austin would repeatedly claim that we were a Christian band on stage while being completely drunk and continuing to drink on stage. He abused his prescription medications, drank heavily, and slept with anything that crossed his path. He's an egotistical maniac.
I'll tell you just... There's definitely a lot of abuse of prescription medications, drinking heavily, and sleeping with anything that crossed his path in this entire world of music.
You know what's funny though? There's something beautiful about. Well, besides the drinking, the sleeping everything in their path, and the prescription medication. Where's Salt Lake City?
It's not Mormon at all, dude.
Prescription medications?
Yeah, but they're pious, dude.
How many wives?
You don't wife everything that crosses your path.
Dude, they have a lot of wives though.
Not in the U.S.
No,
it's
illegal.
illegal.
Have multiple? Well, they have.
Fuck no, not in the U.S.
They could have
That's why Mitt Romney's family fucked off to Mexico.
True. But then Mitt Romney, they keep.
An arrogant jerk. We gave him everything. We gave him a family, our homes, our money, our love, and all he did in return was throw it all back in our faces. He personally went out of his way to ruin Caleb's life on tour because Caleb tried to tell Austin that what he was doing was messed up. I can sit here all day and name off underage girls that he slept with, people he screwed over, stolen from, lied to, and used for his own selfish purposes. Austin made our band? Austin almost destroyed our band, and the only reason we're here right now is because all of us had to try to push through all of that horseshit and do something with our lives. I can speak for everyone in the band when I say that all the rest of the dudes in Of Mice and Men are some of the greatest people we've ever met. We love each and every single one of them. We also love our loyal fans and have stuck with us through all the drama and all of that shit. Because you all know that there's been a good reason for Austin's departure. I can't describe how stoked we are that we can finally make this come to light. Austin, I know you're reading this. No respect, Wetzel.
It's safe to say that bridge was burned long before that was written.
And reading this in hindsight makes all the future allegations thrust onto Austin seem far more credible, especially given that he was thrown out of Mice and Men briefly for similar reasons. But hey, if you want to hear more about that, you can check out this little video, because that's far too much of a rabbit hole for us to cover here. Austin would quickly be replaced by Nick Barham, who was an at the time member of For All We Know, a band forgotten in time, but is an interesting one to look at just by the fact that not only did they contain a future member of Attack Attack, but also Gabe and a young Kellen Quinn were members. And the dissolvement of For All We Know would be what set the seeds for Sleeping with Sirens to form. But that's another story for another day.
What?
Seeds for Sleeping with Sirens to
Sleeping
form.
with Sirens,
but
okay.
that's another story for another day. Nick would, funny enough, be the face many first thought of when they heard Austin's voice, as he would not only be their longest touring vocalist during this era, but would feature in the band's most famous and important music video, Stick Stickly.
This is the thing. This is what most people, or this is like the memed thing that most people are gonna know about
post specifically.
I mean, you want to talk the aesthetic and the fashion and the dance moves.
Well, this is the original crab dance, in my opinion.
This was the first. I mean, they were like the first band that like blew up that did it, but it became like a whole thing. It became Asking Alexandria and Of Mice and Men, and
crab dance means something different in today's thing. It's when you do it's actually a electronic music thing. Remember?
I thought you were going to say it was an STD.
Well,
Sorry.
you know Dancing Cat Records?
No.
Or whatever. It's a crab rave. You know the song Crab Rave?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, okay.
So usually now you do crab dancing on people's downfall. You do crab emojis, some people.
Oh, okay, I've seen that
and
for
you
sure.
play that song as a celebration.
Okay.
But this is the original crab dance, and basically
nice. We brought it back.
Oh, Faithless is doing it now.
Oh God, dude. The headbanging on the microcorg is truly my favorite. Wait, yes.
It's very demure. It's very cute.
And what's very funny about this music, so this is what most people have seen, but the vocalist that you see here, well, you see, that's not the vocalist that you're hearing. The vocalist that you're hearing is the guy that they just shit talked in that letter. And in all reality, that guy is not any good, which you're gonna find out here in a sec.
The Stick Stickly video came out in 2009 and would be the final push for the band that they needed to transform the scene forever. The V-necks, electronica breakdowns, the fucking crabcore, the pointless music video pertaining to fuck all of what the song is actually singing about.
Exactly.
It just encapsulated everything that we would see going forward.
What would a music video to this song talking about referring to the resurrection of Christ look like? Maybe Mel Gibson could produce it. That'd be sick. That's the fucking. I need to see the sequel to Passion of the Christ. Mel.
And while it's now considered a bit of an ironic masterpiece, at the time it was scoffed at and would be torn to shreds by metal blogs everywhere, encouraging an army of trolls to continue to mock and defile Attack. But they would use this to their advantage and take the mockery in stride. This attitude would lead the band to further success, and Someday Came Suddenly, despite its issues, still stands as a pinnacle of the 2000s metalcore scene.
I remember Dude, I'm calling it. That's what I said. Rhinestone. Those are some dog times. Got it over. So, what's your star name? Why did you give me the money?
Nice. Pretty smooth, honestly.
Yeah, Goblin sell you. Hey, join your Patreon.
Oh shit. Look who it is.
Nice. I'm gonna look up the album, I think you call it
gang, I never had the figure for it. Okay, so now we are on to their subsequent album, which I saw them. I saw them before this came out. Okay, so should I talk about the second time that I saw them? Because this is my big
yeah.
So so speaking of Warped Tour 2009 at Camden, I was kind of lying. I tried to see them and I didn't, and it was because of the Israelis. I mean the weather, that I wasn't able to see them. They were at an outdoor stage and it got super rained out, and their equipment and the Warped Tour equipment and their equipment was at risk, so they didn't play. And these guys were I'm telling you, this album and this scene was very hyped. They were probably on. They had an enthusiastic bunch that wanted to see them, and this was after the what's his name, Austin Carlile era. So Caleb Shomo was their vocalist, and he's
the one sucked.
And he was like, and he had the job, and he's, by the way, which you're gonna see in a bit, he wasn't a front man. He's like, he kind of got like, because Johnny didn't want to be a front man. And he's like, okay, no, the screaming vocalist should be the front man, but he wasn't comfortable with it. But nevertheless, he got the job of telling all of these enthusiastic Warped Tour kids that they will not be playing. And he said, and what he did was he said, "Hey guys," to the best of my memory, was something like this. "Oh, hey guys, sorry, we're not gonna be able to play because of the weather. Really sorry, we're really pumped for it, but hey, there's some good news. 303 will be playing inside," and it was immediately, this is Philly. Boo!
Yes.
And then, so that was a bust, and I was like, well, I guess I have to try to see Attack again. So where did we? Well, I didn't go to too much with you, but I went to metal shows on my own.
Yeah. We went to like post metal shows. Like at that time I was just like, I only go out to like post metal shows. I love how I give myself a German accent. Yeah. I'm only going down to
the post metal shows.
If they're not called Cult of Luna or ISIS or the Ocean Collective, or if they don't have like 5 million members on stage that are playing like in very in polyrhythmic things and shit like that, we're not doing anything of this. No, fuck this.
So I went and saw bands in New York City. Like, we lived in North Jersey, so you could just hop on the train and get to the city. About an hour, half an hour if you got the express. But I went to see bands like All That Remains and
was my accent that strong? Was my accent stronger back then? I feel like I feel like I speak sloppier now.
Okay, so I wouldn't say that your accent was stronger particularly. You speak like in more of like an American parlance now, and you leaned into being foreign more, if that makes sense.
Dude, I was flying that foreign, like it was just like, of course I'm foreign. Yeah, I don't know shit. Where the ladies at? Hey.
Do you think I could bum a cigarette?
That is honestly how I introduce myself to most people. Hey,
Oh no, bust down's perfect. That's what I wanted. No, I love it.
Fucking God.
So anyway, what happened was I went to. So this is my real anecdote about this band. I went to. I want to say it was the Gramercy Theater to see this band. And what happened was these were rarely like solo shows. There would be like several bands on a lineup, and it was like the XYZ tour,
the
right?
Gangs.
Which is why I've seen most of the bands on that page back there, right? So these guys were notorious in this, and they were extremely divisive, let's say. They had an enthusiastic fan group, and they had people that felt like they were bastardizing the music that they loved, and they really hated them. And if you know about like hardcore punk, it's big. It was there's a lot of big New York band. Like there's a good scene for it in New York.
Well, this is during a time where fucking Leftover Crack was fucking ruled the fucking world.
I used to work with a guy that was the biggest Leftover Crack fan, and he was from New York. So there were those types, and what happened was a bunch of them, as far as I could tell, showed up to the show to fuck people up.
Fuck yeah, crust punk.
And I mean, it was more like dudes. It was more like dudes in like bald dudes or dudes in like beanies not necessarily, but like dudes in basketball jerseys. And what would happen was me. I was always one of those guys that would be like kind of on the edge of the pit, and I would like jump in when I was when I was feeling myself. I wasn't like constantly in or constantly out, so I'm like on the perimeter,
Mm-hmm.
So I was watching what was happening around. Had a very good view of what was happening around the pit, and it was these guys in basketball jerseys staying in the pit, and during like breakdowns would find someone with hair like Caleb Shomo and fucking hit him. It was there's a little bit of like friendly like hey at first, and then it became like these dudes were like winding up and trying to hit people in the face and stuff.
Can we appreciate this is Caleb, right?
Correct.
Can we appreciate how he wears his sunglasses with his hair?
Absolutely. Those are very period correct sunglasses. Yeah, okay, that's basically my anecdote. But it got so bad that at one point, I think it wasn't Caleb. I saw him with their subsequent vocalist. It was they had changed by this time. This is the theme of this band. They go through a lot. They went through a whirlund of them.
Dude, that was all of those bands at the time.
Like yes and no. They like Between the Buried and Me has had the same lineup since like the early since like Alaska, like 2003. Yeah. They had a different drummer before that, but yeah, otherwise they're the same. So it was bad enough that the vocalist was noticing it and had to yell at people to stop fighting. So it was pretty nuts.
Let's pause.
Listening to like other bands.
That's my main anecdote about like
are really big right now. I can safely say that the music that is going to be on this record sounds nothing like anyone's ever put out before. Yeah. It's crazy.
But at the same time,
what's funny though, like you were talking about the punk wave there, I was aligning more with the punk wave in the United States at that time.
Well, that's the closer to the origin of this type of music. So post-hardcore means post-hardcore punk.
Oh yeah, I know.
And like metalcore was like out of that too.
But the mutual friends we had that were like in the punk scene, like I was more aligning with their form of punk, which honestly were crust punk,
right?
But that was probably because that was more like black metal to me.
Yeah.
So
it's rough.
Yeah.
It's definitely still us.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like we just totally changed as a band with all the like member changes and all the crazy stuff that's happened since our first album was out. It's still Attack. Yeah. Still got the heavy stuff, still got the fun, like dancey stuff.
While Nick Barham might have served as the band's saving grace during their time of need, he was still far from what they needed to continue on their journey to the top. Because despite seemingly being a pretty nice dude, Nick's vocal chops were, they're pretty rough to say the least. Nick was far from a good frontman, and any of the clips of the band's live shows during his time with Attack will show you that he's just not cut out for touring and band leadership. So shortly into the band's demo writing process for their sophomore record, he would be ejected as well, with only a single demo containing any vocal work he did with the band.
Yeah, he just wasn't the best.
Attack would make the decision to elevate Caleb Shomo from keyboardist to lead vocalist, and re-entered the studio with Joey Sturgis to produce their second record. And while this would probably be the least turbulent time for the band, it would be one of their most transitional periods. with their star really starting to shine as one of the biggest and brightest in the Warped Tour scene.
Okay, so he was the vocalist when I saw them. Now that I think about this, so he was the synth guy. He's now the vocalist, and he actually stayed with the band for a while. He was with them like basically up till the end.
And the music they were writing would lead them to hitting their apex. When the song Smokeahonest dropped, it would be yet another game changer.
So this album was a lot more. It was a similar type of sound, but honestly, it was a lot more polished, and it just had like better production and stuff. There was some good. This is the part where he goes through it. It had some good tracks.
The video, while still being goofy, was far less nonsensical, and the music itself was much less all over the place. This was important because Attack Attack had drastically changed their sound, now playing far heavier, more metalcore focused tracks than the post-hardcore laden sound of before, even having the electronics that led them to so much success being much more toned down and subdued. Still there, but nothing in comparison to what can be heard on Someday Came Suddenly. And probably the most blatant shift for the band was Caleb's vocals. Caleb Shomo becoming the lead vocalist was one of their biggest turning points, because his style of screaming was a far cry from the higher pitched styles of both Austin Carlile and Nick Barham. And when paired with the lower tuned guitars playing heavier riffs, it culminated in just a massive tonal shift for the band, and this would not be unnoticed by the fans. Many of Attack Attack's older fans who didn't enjoy the drastic changes would run off to embrace the many other artists who they helped inspire. But this was minuscule when compared to those who stayed and the many new fans who would tune in during this era. And to talk about the album itself, Self-Titled is the most quintessential 2010 metalcore record I've ever heard. It holds all the staples, which can conveniently be heard on track 1, Sexual Man Chocolate.
That is made by Bilmuri.
But do you hear like the shift, the sound change?
As brain dead and dumb as the name.
More like gent.
I was just gonna say more mature gent.
Which is where they eventually ended up, because every time they make one of these changes, there's a sound change that follows. You know.
It's the perfect opening track for the record, because it walks a tightrope between the band's previously held staple sound and the many new additions and changes listeners could expect from the rest of the record, still maintaining the auto-tune and synths that made them famous, but also bringing in the heavier elements and the lower vocals and putting them on a center stage, helping ease listeners into what's going to come next. And what does come next is Renob Nevada, a track that plays more into the metal-focused side of the band's sound, with some melodic hardcore elements even thrown in for good measure.
Yeah, this is much more like fast tempo. This is a little bit more like.
This song really shows the further experiment.
What am I trying to say? It appeals to somebody who's coming from more like your perspective.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, more like the like.
Well,
this isn't. Yeah, it's thrashy, but it's closer to like real metal.
Yeah.
That Attack Attack was willing to run with, and that's what really seems to be the selling point of the self-titled record. It's constantly experimenting with the formula that they made with Someday Came Suddenly, and adding different elements with each track, some being more safe and some being a bit more out there. And I think the best example of this is actually my all-time favorite song from the band, I Swear I'll Change. This song shows a ton of maturity and growth in the band's songwriting, as well as some far more serious atmosphere from a band whose output could be very memey at times. And funny enough, this would be the direction that Johnny Franck would go with one of his future projects, but we'll get to that when we get to that. This more serious tone is almost completely contradicted with the album's next track, Shut Your Mouth. Whether this was just a filler song,
that was kind of how they were weaving in the EDM elements in that era. Like he said, it's much more subdued. But I think I don't know. It comes off as a bit low effort to me.
2010.
Yeah, 2010. Yeah, exactly.
Or the band's attempt to let the fans know that they're still mostly lighthearted. Shut Your Mouth is actually pretty funny, even if it's aged really bad. During this era, many bands like Attila and Asking Alexandria were popping up with songs.
Isn't Attila the band that said, I want to see you
That's it? No, I don't
suck
know.
his dick? I'm pretty sure Attila has a song called that.
Were they hanging out with their cousins?
Yeah, look up, somebody in chat, look up if Attila has a song named I Want to See You Suck His Dick. Which is funny because some people in chat, you all know, well, some of us know a guy named Attila. Knowing his predicament right now.
The Hun?
Songs about slaying pussy and smashing gash like there's no tomorrow. So an entire track about being so swagged out that you don't get laid is pretty fucking hilarious to me. The rest of the record is kind of split into two categories, and that would be the tracks like A for Andrew or AC-130 that sit in the more heavy and melodic metalcore side of the spectrum.
You're better off.
You know what an AC-130 is, right?
Is that an airplane?
Yeah, that has a bunch of guns on it.
Yeah.
On the other hand, we have a handful of other tracks that lean more into the lighthearted post-hardcore sound from Someday Came Suddenly, like the stupidly named but fantastic song Fumbles O'Brien. Out of all of Attack Attack's material, I think this record still holds up as their most fun and easy to listen to record today. And for anyone who's ever been a fan of this era of metalcore before, it's very well worth your time. I can't see why you wouldn't have listened to it. The only real issue with this album is the title. Self-titled is boringly named, and it's a shame because that wasn't originally what it was supposed to be called. The actual title was Shazam, but DC kind of cut the band and said that they couldn't use it due to copyright reasons, and regardless, it wouldn't.
Hey guys, do you have a backup plan? Not really.
Hey.
Okay, self-titled it is.
Also, there was a little app called Shazam at the time too.
Exactly. It's funny that he didn't mention that, but that was around.
Really mattering because the self-titled would be a massive success for the band, and they would play some high-profile tours in support of it. With the changes they made, bringing an even wider listener base. But just as things always seem to go, with the support cycle of every release comes the turbulence and lineup changes to boot. The band's video for Smokeahonis had a mafia theme, and because of that, it would catch the eye of San Antonio tryhards upon a burning body, who would insert a one-sided beef.
We're touring one day.
He was right. He said
cages.
Oh my god. Well, this is not one of them. I don't think. I'll rewind it a couple seconds. But Curtis mentioned before that dogs can grow beards all over stinks, or he said it's crap, which I agree with. Smokeahonis
theme, and because of that, it would catch the eye of San Antonio tryhards upon a burning body, who would insert a one-sided beef.
We're touring one day, and we get a nice little email.
So now we're beefing with other bands.
Antonio tryhards upon a burning body, who would insert a one-sided beef.
We're touring one day, and we get a nice little email. I get a nice email saying, "Take a look at this." I can't say who sent it, but. I was like, oh, it's very interesting, and right away I knew you could see the way they're dressed, and you could, and you can see the name of their tour, you know, This Is a Family, which is the absolute first lyric that I say, very close to the first lyric that I say in the beginning of our record, which is Welcome to the Family. And,
Right.
And it has that.
That's definitely a totally original thought. No crossover, no parallel thinking in this world. We are family. Dun, 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 dun.
Whole theme, you know, that mafia Godfather type thing that we're trying to do and stuff. So, you know, we see them trying to capitalize on that, and we didn't like it too much. So we said, you know, let's give them a friendly little, hey, what the hell are you doing? You know what I mean?
Though to be fair, this whole thing was mostly just harmless ribbing and upon a burning body just having some fun and stirring the pot. I mean, how can you really take this seriously?
Who does that look like to you?
Like us.
Oh, what
that
the
looks
fuck?
Like, yeah, that looks like us. Family. This is a family tour. Attack.
This is some really early social media ribbing back and forth.
Dude, this is art right here. This is a time capsule of just shit, and I'm loving it. Wow! Oh, look at them ears though. Look at the lobes on these fillers.
I mean, it's impressive just to be able to stretch your ear skin like that. Your lobe skin.
I wouldn't want to fight these elves.
The more serious turbulence that would be brought onto the band and let their plane fall down was actually yet another lineup change. Guitarist and singer Johnny Franck would announce during the dying breaths of 2010.
So here's the big. This is the exit of your boy right here.
Oh, no.
The band and let their plane fall down was actually yet another lineup change. Guitarist and singer Johnny Franck would announce during the dying breaths of 2010 that he was leaving the band.
Hey guys, it's Johnny.
So I got to see them with Johnny Franck. Humble brag.
Oh, yeah.
I have an announcement for all of you AA fans. I will no longer be a member of Attack. It's been a really hard decision, but I've been doing a lot of thinking and soul searching, and I came to the conclusion that being out on tour really damages my relationship with God and my spiritual life. And that's something that's really important to me, and something that...
Does this seem like an insincere man to you?
No.
No.
I think he seems so... He just want to go to church. He just missed out on church a lot.
There's all these girls that keep pulling their titties out on stage, and it's while I'm trying to play, and it's really just distracting me with my relationship with Christ.
I missed church on Sunday several weeks because there was Warp Tour.
I was too hungover to attend the morning service
Titties,
too many times.
Lollipops, and neon colored tour shirts. Very cool.
Is really valuable to me, and I just got caught up in all the excitement of everything that was going on with the band growing in success and everything like that. And
that's girls show too many titties being shown to you at your concerts.
Honestly, I'll say this.
That's what that means.
Honestly, I'll say this. You can't have too many titties sometimes. There is an overwhelming amount of titties. And maybe Johnny just hit that overwhelming amount of titties.
He's just sad. Yeah, you're right, Turney. He is. He's been through it, man.
I put the band above God, and that's something that was really damaging to me. So I'm stepping down to refocus my life on God and work on strengthening my relationship with Him.
Johnny wanted to reclaim focus on his faith and clean himself up in his use of alcohol, and this would lead to a massive blow for the band because Johnny, alongside Wetzel and Caleb, were the band's faces, and his voice always seemed to be the glue to the elements of each record. And while no bad blood was left on the floor, and the band would continue on touring with his replacement Sean Mikowski, this really was kind of the point of no return, and this would only be solidified with the 2011 reissue of the self-titled record. Along with some less stylish artwork, the new songs would feature Caleb on clean vocals.
What do you think about this? You're the graphic. You're the.
I'm not a graphic designer.
No, but you got taste in this type of shit. You were the first person to tell me about what is it, demon art or whatever?
Layer. Like it's stock photo.
See, you know what you're looking.
I mean, like
at.
they're probably stock photo like trees, or it was just like a quick hand paint by somebody, and you just did a bunch of layer, put a fucking smoke filter on there, then put a crackle like.
I'm not a graphic artist, but let me explain this entire
crackle
thing.
texture. Something, but like it looks like you can do this very quickly. This looks
right.
This looks like a 4-hour job.
Yeah, and like he was saying, there's a sound change every single time. There's a lineup change, and you might imagine that this is the most dramatic one of them all.
Well,
for the first time,
the main writer left, right?
It's not bad by any means, but it's definitely the farthest the band had strayed.
I don't know if someone else was. If him and Caleb were writing together, I don't know.
Who do you think wrote Central Chocolate Man?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Their original sound, with Caleb's screams taking a much more hardcore punk approach,
cool title,
and his singing voice being.
What about dogs can grow beards all over? That was probably him too.
Not everybody can be great at times, but yeah, you're right.
Sometimes you just need a song name. Look at Deadmau5, you know.
Very big far cry from the high-pitched scene vocals of Johnny. The band would support this brief era by headlining the Vans Warped Tour in 2011. Johnny would go on to start a new side project called The March Ahead, and if I'm being honest, The March Ahead really was a fantastic outlet for his musical visions, and one of the most underrated things that he's ever worked on. And while the dust seemed to settle in a mostly amicable way for Attack Attack, we'll see that the storm was far from over.
So is there anything that you can let us know to look forward to for the year 2012 from Attack Attack besides amazingness?
I mean, you can definitely expect to see us pull some shit out of a hat. We have a lot of things up our sleeves this year.
Well,
and I know
again, body language, and we have looks up, pause, a lot of things.
We have a lot of things up our sleeves this year, and I know we weren't very active in 2011 because we had a lot of tours fall through and a lot of other stuff, so you haven't really heard a whole lot from us, but I guarantee you 2012 is definitely our year. We're going to come out, we're going to decimate. We've got a lot of stuff going on. We have a whole nother record that we already have already written, and you know, so we're just waiting for the perfect moment to just launch out and just kind of do whatever we want to do. So
if the self-titled record was a shift into a new sound, this means War was a complete rejection of the past and a rebranding.
So to be fair, that I didn't really listen to a lot of this. My last real, because it changed so much. I'm like, this is still Attack Attack. Okay, that was like, all right, and I was really moving away from this. I had left 2011 at the end is when I left New Jersey.
Yeah, it's when you headed to.
And I'm just like, I have a few metal bands that I like. I have a narrow range, and I'm basically getting into EDM now.
Yeah.
The album would be announced in the fall of 2011 and dropped in early 2012. And it seemed that after all the lineup changes and years spent being the poster children of the Crabcore movement, Attack Attack was ready to just drop everything and start fresh. They would each cut their hair short and restyle themselves, eschewing
what would that have even like looked like or sounded? Just more of like, well, I think self-titled was, you might be right, man, because self-titled was a good direction for them to go.
Everything was going electronic, and they were the fucking one of the few metal.
He was
bands
way ahead.
So keep the songwriter that's writing the good bangers there, and then just keep on doing the fucking.
Well, I dare say that the rise of EDM in the U.S. is one reason that this band was so hated, and that's why some of the hardcore punk guys wanted to pay for a ticket to this show just to hit emo kid, just to hit like scene looking kids, right? Because they were like, I don't like that shit, and you're watering down the music that I love, but you know, and like my scene, bro.
Scene hair and V-necks that they popularized in favor of a far more clean-cut and almost hipster look. The important thing to note here is that the band was at its peak of relevance and popularity, sitting at the top of the metalcore scene as one of its titans. So embracing shifts like this would be a make it or break it moment for them. The album's song titles would also see a big change, with none of them having
one thing
the
I think is interesting is I'm sorry, I can't remember the guy's name. Asian dude Gage's bassist, who's been in this band like basically since the beginning, is just like, I just play the bass, dude. He's like everybody else is really like doing the creative direction here.
Also, as a metal fan, it's crazy to see like how short a fucking
that is real. That is. These are like
36 minutes.
We need an hour. We need 45 minutes.
Well, I come from metal. There's solos that are 3 minutes.
Nonsensical random names that were a staple of the past. This time being incredibly simplistic and serious. But this all pales in comparison to the sound that the band would undergo, becoming unrecognizable to the cast of emo kids we heard on Someday Came Suddenly. And honestly, there's no better time to discuss the record, since outside of what we already discussed, there isn't much to say about this era of the band till its acidic conclusion. This Means War is the most drastically different record in the band's catalog, as nearly all the scene-style warped core elements had been erased. And what we got, I think, can best be described as gent rock. I hear you tickety-tappity typing, just bear with me for a second. I know that might sound like
I didn't know about this until I had not listened to anything off of This Is War before this documentary, so just wait.
Fucking stupid name, but here, let me just show you what the album's opening track is like. It's got some pretty standard gent sounds for the time, obviously not leaning into the genre's more progressive elements, but hitting a lot of its hallmarks. Now, listen to the chorus. This is an arena rock anthem if I've ever.
It's way more generic than than Johnny Franck style.
It's soy milk. I hate it.
Gent rock is the correct description for that.
I hate that. That's
because it's funny. You said you had the exact same reaction I did. I said gent. And you said the same thing, and I was like, okay, yep, that's what it is.
In my head, I was just like, that could actually be dope, and then like I heard it, I was like, that's actually horrible. Like that's not the gent rock.
Yeah,
heard it. Designed
no, please.
To be played all over the radio. And while the album does have its heavier moments, like the track "The Confrontation," it mostly sticks to the heavy verse / pop chorus / breakdown formula. It's serviceable, but leaves the album with a samey, boring nature to it when listened to all the way through. That's not to say that they don't have moments like the lead single "The Wretched" that leans much more into the pop sound and in an actual good way. But overall, the record
which is why I said before, I knew this was all coming, which is good. It's good for you to see, but I also said, like, I also figured this would take a while, and I was like, we don't have to keep going after Johnny Franck leaves.
Well, I want to see,
because it becomes unrecognizable, frankly.
Feels nothing more than serviceable. It's not bad, but it's nothing special like if you were already into the more gent side of things. Especially when you consider 2012 also treated us to some legendary records like Periphery 2 and the extremely underrated Royal 1000 by Glasscloud. I love this record so fucking much. Regardless, the album would be a massive success and Attack Attack's best-selling record, leading to some big tours in support of the album. But alas, as with every release so far, each album would come with its turbulence, and this time it would become Attack Attack's swan song, as bassist John Hidalgo would make a quiet exit from the band, and Caleb Shomo would then, in much the same fashion as Johnny Franck, put out a statement with his own departure. So, as you've all heard, and the internet somehow revealed before I got the chance to, as John announced last week...
Well, by this point, he'd gotten bullied being fat enough. I think he was losing weight, and he cut his hair. I'm pretty sure it was Caleb that was the guy. He was being interviewed. He was the one like, yeah, we have a lot coming up, and we went away for a bit. We're figuring things out.
Also left AA. Technically, I've been out of the band for about 3 months now, but the guys wanted to wait to announce until they had everything lined up with the new guy, which I had no problem with. Honestly, me and John have very similar reasons for leaving. If you all got the chance to read his amazing farewell message. I have horrible clinical depression and have for years. As you may have heard from my speeches I give during about the last 6 months or so of my touring career with AA, I've been suicidal since middle school. I've struggled on and off with eating disorders, self-image problems since I was announced as the frontman a few years ago, and various substance abuses and addictions for about the past year or so. Having thousands of people tell you you're a fat piece of shit isn't exactly the easiest things to deal with at 17, and I could imagine ever. I'm very scattered.
2010, 2011, like, I mean, social media was very much still in its infancy. Yeah. Like,
brained and just kind of ranting, so deal with me for this, so being all over the place. I love all the guys that I've ever been involved with in AA. Great dudes, very supportive as well. Starting about a year ago, I started to really go down into a downward spiral mentally, having panic attacks, mental breakdowns, cutting myself off from the world for weeks at a time, writing insanely depressing songs, not too fun. I had a lot of stress in my life / demons haunting me, and in no way wanted to face it head on and deal with it. As you may have guessed, this doesn't help problems in the least. 2012 has easily been the darkest year of my life overall. It's had some of the most amazing things happen, getting my life together and the end along with getting married to my lovely life Fleur, but generally filled with a lot of pain and attempts to cope with them. I left on good terms with everyone, and they're very supportive of my decision. It wasn't easy, but trust me, if you've known me for the past year, you'd be understanding as well. I'm still fully going to be making music. Honestly, I'll be probably making a lot more at this point. I'm also going to be doing more producing and songwriting, which is a massive passion of mine. Also, for those wondering, I will still be making hardcore music. I have a new band, well, not that new in reality, but new to you, called Beartooth. That is a hardcore band.
Beartooth is the Attack goes in two different directions. You have Johnny Franck and Bilmuri. You have Caleb Shomo and Beartooth, and that is what really what's really the lasting legacy.
I will be screaming and yelling and singing and running around on stage, generally making a fool of myself.
I'll have to check them out though, because from what people that still like this type of music tell me is like it's actually like pretty quality. So I would be interested to hear it.
All the good stuff I did in AA. I can't tell you how much I'll be touring or when, but I will be putting out tons of music, and I definitely will be playing shows. So if you get a chance, come hang. As now I really feel about in my life, I have needed some stability and rest. This is a time for me to recoup mentally and prepare for my next chapter of life, whatever that has in store. I'm also stoked for AA. Their new singer who will be taking that role I used to play is Phil Dreyer from I Am Abomination, who is about a bajillion times more awesome singer than I am, if I do say so myself. From what I've heard while hanging out with Wetzel and Whiting, which I still do, so don't start going around making up some stupid story that we hate each other or something like that, you crazy kids. The new music is awesome, very unique, and still very much so AA. Thanks for taking the time to check this out. Awful sentence structure aside, the break was
I was wondering, you mentioned AA earlier in the one about Austin Carlile, and I was wondering if I almost said it's actually Attack, not Alcoholics Anonymous. That's funny.
Dude, I've just realized that I'm just
as you can tell, all of these things are very unprofessionally written. So you wouldn't write any of these things close to this if you were working with like a publicist or something.
At the time, if I would be working with them, I would be writing the same shit if I was helping managing their social media. So it's funny, like You get too close to shit.
Amicable, but still a devastating
No, you
one
had
for
the
the
same
band,
pod?
as we'll get into. And just as a bonus, because I think it's a bit of fun trivia, before Beartooth, Caleb's main project that he spent months working on was an EDM project named Class.
Doing a little update.
Oh, I forgot about this.
Class. My electronic thing that I'm doing.
This was me. This was like 2012. I was just sitting there in 2012, 2013. I'm like, I like this EDM stuff. Above and Beyond's cool. Trying to make some cool music too. Okay, this is really hard. This is really hard to do. Turns out it takes a select few can make Above and Beyond type beats.
At least
Gonna
Class us.
go around and
I don't know if he plays
DJ
any.
shows and press some buttons, slide some faders, dance around, have a good time.
Oh, a little.
Alas, from
Glitch
here,
mod?
Attack Attack would
bit.
attempt to
Yeah.
keep things going for a fourth album, but ultimately decided to just end things,
That's about done.
going
Go
on
with
one
this.
final tour to say goodbye and let the band go out with a bang. With the departure of essentially
Some of their
all
last
the
stuff.
founding and formative members outside of the two Andrews, Wetzel and Whiting would come to the conclusion
Yes.
that it was time to hang up the Attack
This is what
Attack
I'm saying.
name and
That's
start
like
fresh.
That's what I'm- that's-
So
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. None of this is like recognizable, and like I said, the one Asian Andrew is not creatively driving this thing.
He's just playing the bass.
Hasn't. But he's just like, I'm just here to with the drummer to kind of rhythm.
with the departure of essentially all the founding and formative members outside of the two Andrews, Wetzel and Whiting would come to the conclusion that it was time to hang up the Attack Attack name and start fresh. So with the lineup of their farewell tour, the band would reemerge
stands for
as
Andrew,
Native.
as it turns out.
Starting fresh was honestly the best thing the band could have done, though the instability was still too strong, and shortly after the Native EP was released, Whiting and Wetzel
By
would
the
get
way,
into
I
a
love this background.
I
Here.
was
It's
just
just
gonna
like,
say,
hey,
you're loving
have
this,
you-
don't you?
Habibi, have you heard of Saudi Arabia? Saudi Arabia.
I was very hoping
wonderful
this.
to visit, Habibi.
I was thinking this square right here.
Oh, that's a good one too.
No, do you see who's that?
and
It's
shortly
fucking
after the
insane.
Native EP was released, Whiting
Yeah,
and
it is. I
Wetzel
thought
would
it
get
was
into a
fucking
physical
good.
altercation
Hey,
and spend some time suing
It's
each
the
other.
special one.
Yeah.
Shout out Jose Mourinho.
Like that's what I was just like. Yeah, of course he's fucking like.
Oh
the
no!
background.
Anything we can't be triggering Eric with anything Portuguese. Onward.
Other, abruptly ending their post-Attack Attack career for seemingly ever. The band would then reemerge sometime in 2020, though it's merely a shadow of its former self. The two Andrews would put their differences aside and resurrect the band again with all new members. And while it's not bad,
So I was
it's
wondering if Curtis was mistaken when he said that he saw them after. Did you hear the timing on this?
just not Attack
I don't know if
Attack.
he was.
It's its own thing and using the name for relevance. And I know that sounds uncharitable and cynical, but hey, that's just my opinion. I mean, the music is decent, and if you're a big metalcore guy, it's well worth your time.
No, we just
But the
started
Attack
We're actually trying to start a cult.
Attack
That's, unironically, that's always been his dream.
Unironically, I may or may not have already done it.
Yeah.
that we knew
Have you guys
died
already
back
done
in
it?
2012 when Caleb and John left. As important as the Andrews were to the band, it was no one or two members that made it what it was. Hence why each time there was a lineup shift, there was a sound and tonal shift.
Those
And when
cab
too
sounds.
many of the original pieces were missing, it just wasn't the same.
He had a
Attack Attack has
well-built
lived on in
legs
other
and
ways,
back
though,
now,
with their massive influence in both sound and style, still being heard loud and clear all across the music industry, but especially still within the niche they came from. Many of the members who played with them have also gone on to have lucrative careers and continue to make waves. Caleb is doing Beartooth, who still stands as a massive band. Johnny Franck with his criminally underrated project The March Ahead, and the fantastic stuff he puts out under his current pseudonym, Bilmuri. Austin had a massive second win with Of Mice and Men, who would go on to spawn their own wave of clones. And even original bassist Nick White is putting out fantastic new material with his band Some of Us. And this is all without mentioning Attack Attack's looser ties to other bands. Attack Attack might seem silly to look at in hindsight, and it's easy to hear Stick Stickly and just write them off as flukes or a flash in the pan. But the fact that so many people connected with the band have continued past their tenure just to achieve such great heights is, well, I think it speaks for itself. Despite all the cheese, despite all the cringe, the hairspray or the techno breakdowns, Attack Attack changed the world of music, and they deserve the legacy of praise that they hold. But with all that being said, subscribe, support me on Patreon, follow me on Twitter. I'll see you in the next video.
I enjoyed it, and it's 53K views. Like But so I've watched like one or two other things that he's. Oh, look at his description. Name is Boxy.
That's like kind of awesome.
My name
Boxy, and it's been a while since I made it, so I decided because of the recent events, I could make a new video.
That wasn't fed to him by Grok for sure.
What is
Faithless sending us?
Crab dance.
Oh yeah, crab dance.
Crab dancing on that. What is the comment section on that?
Someone spent actual hours of their life making this, and I'm so proud of that person.
I want to see if there's actually any comments from us here. No. Anyway, guys, me and Big Dog Hayden here, we gotta go to the airport in 6 hours.
Something like that.
Hell yeah. So, because Hayden here is gonna do a world tour, so we'll probably do a stream in like 5 months or something. What is it, 4 months? 3 months?
I'll be back in this. I don't know exactly. I'll be back in this area around like maybe like 3-4 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. Because I'm gonna be away for 2.5, and I kind of live not too terribly.
No.
I live like a day's drive away.
Dude,
so
do your thing, but Southeast Asia, fucking be prepared. If anybody says Southeast Asia.
This is the first time you said that. You just said I was going on you didn't say where I was going.
Oh, you go. Well, you know, you tell them.
I'm gonna be in Spain tomorrow, and then there for a few days, and then Dubai for a couple days. Basically, just a long layover. But I'm mostly gonna be in Philippines, Thailand, Vietnam, a little Japan at the end, and back. So shout out Ari Shafir, shout out Anthony Bourdain, shout out Harry Jaggard.
Oh yeah,
all the dogs.
Anyway, take it easy, Tony. Take it easy, everyone. It's time for the outro music, and me and Hayden are gonna go to Red, and then we're gonna fucking head to the airport. Tampa, baby! Dude, they have a good coffee. Oh, I'm gonna get that Starbucks coffee at the Tampa airport.
Oh yeah, nice.
We might brew some coffee in the morning.
Yeah,
we can just
pass the one on the way as well.
Yeah. I saw Ari once, funny guy. We fucking love Ari here.
Yeah, big Ari fans.
Hey, good seeing you, Casual. Good seeing you, Fables. Good seeing you, Tony. Everyone.
Thanks for joining us.
Out of team. Oh, yeah, good sound. Peace out.